Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jay. He's Maddie. This is the Yankee and the Brit Sports Talk. And today we're going to hit you with a preview of week 2 of the NFL. And I'm excited, Maddie. And as we record, it is Thursday. So tonight, the Washington football team versus the Giants. And I just have to say, with all the things going on about them whittling down the names of the Washington team, I'm a big fan of staying with the football team. And
I love the
hated
football
it
team.
At first. I hated it. And now I like it.
I love the football team. As a Brit, that's what we call our sports clubs. Like Manchester United, like it's just a chilled out name and it actually means something behind it. Whereas like the Dallas Cowboys, like doesn't really mean too much. Like at least Minnesota Vikings has actually something to do with it. But like the Washington football team, it sounds old school. They kind of play old school football now. Like I love the Washington football team. I think they should definitely keep it. It's better than like the Red Wolves or whatever they're
right.
The Washington Red Wolves. Like the only other thing that makes any sense is the Washington DCs. That's the only other.
Well, I did think of like something to play off the Hogs because their fans call themselves like, you know. But other than that, yeah, I'm with you. Like,
the presidents.
And then I know they were talking about DC FC, and I'm like, dude, stop trying to copy some soccer shit. Like,
that's too far.
I mean? Yeah,
that's leaning too much into it. Yeah, Washington
right.
DC FC. Oh, I actually kind of like that when you say it like really quickly. Maybe it's just in a British accent. It sounded a bit better. But for this game, I can't see any other thing apart from a football team win. To be perfectly honest,
it's Taylor Heineke, so that's the only thing, right? Like. Is he good or not? We watched him against Tampa. He balled out, but this is Washington's big thing right now. Is Taylor Heineke a baller or not? And you're going to find out real quick.
Well, the thing is, they have the same problem as they did at the start of the season where you don't know what you're going to get from their quarterback. So I can't actually have seen them. I haven't actually seen them get that much worse with Fitzpatrick going down, like just a little less experience. That's all they are. Like Taylor Heineke's top end is just as good as Fitzmagic, and his lower end is probably just as good as Fitztragic. You know, like it's.
I don't know when Fitzmagic is magical. There's something like if he could keep that, he'd be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, but Taylor Heineke against Tampa Bay was that good. Like that's right, how good he was.
That's my question. Was that the one game anomaly?
Yeah.
Or is that who he is? And that's what we're going to find out, because if you can't play against New York Giants or the Jets, but if you can't play against New York, you're in trouble.
Yeah. When New York, their kind of offensive line just looks a bit of a mess, which means that the football team, Taylor Heineke is not realistically going to have to play that well to win games at the football team. So
he just can't lose.
He's found himself in it. He's found himself in a good spot. Like, if they managed to move the ball, now they weren't able to move the ball against the Chargers either. Like, what was that? How did that finish? Like 19-16 Chargers or something like that, wasn't it? It's not a big, like, that's not a big scoring game. I think, but with Gibson running the way he does out of the backfield as well, Taylor Heineke's a bit of electricity in that team. I think the Washington football team are in for a good night tonight. Chase Young, now's your time to earn. He's on a I think it's an Under Armour or Umbro advert or something over here. So like he's on our adverts now in the UK. Like that's how big Taylor Heineke, Chase Young is. So go out and earn those stripes, man, against this weak offensive line and go out and kill it. Win a game by yourself.
This is not so much football related, but I gotta ask, you guys still have Umbro? I haven't seen Umbro since I was in high school.
I used to, Umbro football boots are still a pretty.
People still wear them, huh? Okay, yeah, Adidas took over that market here when I was in high school, so
yeah,
it was just like weird Umbro to hear the name.
Yeah, Umbro boots. I can't remember if it's Umbro actually. The advert. It would be weird for it to be Chase Young in an Umbro advert.
Right, the name caught me off guard. I had to go there, but
it's probably Nike.
Right.
The
Giants, to me, are one of those teams that Danny Dimes is not the guy. I am just convinced he is not the guy, and they're stuck with him this year, and I think they're going to have to move on from him after this year unless they get stubborn. So I feel bad for like guys like Saquon, missed part of a year. He's going to come back in, just get beat up behind that offensive line. They do have some weapons out there. They have tight ends and receivers. It's just that I got zero faith in what's going on in New York, and I lost even more faith, and we've already talked about it, with the way they were running practices, like they were like run laps.
I actually don't hate Danny Dimes. I think in a different setup, he might be not a top quarterback, but like middle of the road kind of guy. But you don't stick with a middle of the road kind of guy. Like that's not who you stick with. Like if your quarterback isn't in the top 15, then move on.
Yeah,
and even
I'll never forget him tripping over the 20-yard line. I mean, he literally just tripped over the 20-yard line.
Yeah.
So,
and Danny Dimes, like he's got the weapons around. He's not going to look good this game. Like this is a game that you don't want coming on your schedule while you're trying to make yourself look good to other teams. And let's keep it in the NFC East with my Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys are in LA playing the Chargers. What have you got them doing?
Going 0-2, and this is why. Gregory, Lawrence, Collins, Gallup, all out.
Yeah.
I just think that's rough. Your two defensive ends, you got your offensive line, your Gallup has been a guy that, everybody figures that Dak was going to be able to lean on. Just think it's rough. But I wouldn't be shocked if you won either. But it's just the defense of the Chargers I got some faith in, and we both believe Justin Herbert will play. I just feel like your defense was already in a bad place, but it was primed to get better. And now I think that's two huge losses off that defensive end.
Yeah, I do think that we have a lot of depth in the defensive end room. Like we do have a lot of depth. Alvin Kamara from the Hard Knocks documentary is who's going to have to step up. He didn't look he doesn't look like the right size for it, but he's more of a special kind of guy. And don't forget, we have so many linebackers who can rush the passer that we can come at you with different looks and still have linebackers in coverage as well. Like, don't be surprised if you don't see Micah Parsons coming off the edge this week at some point in a design play with Parsons coming off the edge and that kind of stuff. I've got the Cowboys winning because I can't not see them win. I can't do it. In a close game, I'm always going to lean Cowboys, but it's not just bias. They look so good against Tampa, and the defense as a whole looked good. Tom Brady took advantage of their inexperience. Justin Herbert, as talented he is and as intelligent as he is by all accounts, doesn't he have a master's in biology or something like that from the University of Oregon? But as talented as he is and as smart as he is, he's not going to be able to take the same advantages. Now, the Lyle Collins missing is probably my biggest worry because of Joey Bosa. That's my biggest worry because Martin's playing at guard, and guard seems to be the place where we have all of our good offensive linemen. The guards played really well. I don't feel confident in Steele, to be perfectly honest, to lock down Joey Bosa, but he'll be able to get some help. We have Dalton Schultz, Blake Jarwin. We can cover over these cracks there that are being left there by the injuries. This is where we see if the Cowboys have got depth, and if they win this game, then they're favorites to win this division if they're able to go into LA and beat them.
The only thing that makes it rough is that you have to go to LA to play, and you're playing away. But like I said, I wouldn't be shocked if you guys would win. And if it wasn't for the injuries, I probably would have picked the Cowboys. But those two DNs, with the fact that you guys only can defend one side of the field, seems like it's going to be rough.
Yeah, it's a genuine worry, and we'll hope that they've sorted something out. Donovan Wilson at safety, I can feel for some reason, I can feel him having a big game. Watch out for a few hits from Donovan Wilson, and come on Cowboys. Let's see what you've got. Let's see it if my hopes are being realized for this season.
Well, moving on to another game that should be pretty good, the Vikings Cardinals. Mm-hmm. And this boils down to that's
a big game.
This is very simple to me though. If the first half Vikings show up, they get blown off the field.
Yeah.
If the second half Vikings show up, they probably win the game. And that's the kind of thing is, Kirk Cousins usually starts slow. Kirk is a slow starter. Hopefully that snapped him out that last week where that slow start getting off. Delvin Cook is Delvin Cook, who did not fumble the ball, but whatever. I just think what it's going to boil down to for both teams is for the Cardinals on defense, do you bite on the play action? Because the Vikings are one of the best play action teams in the football because of Delvin Cook, and Kirk's very accurate off of it. So for defense,
the other
you do that?
Yeah,
and for
the
the
other
Vikings,
best play action team is the Tennessee Titans is the only thing that I'd say to that.
But see, that depends which stats you look at. That's why they're so skewed. And the Titans offense line let them down. I don't know what'll happen. But for the Vikings defense, it boils down to you just have to contain Kyler Murray, which I know is not easy, but what makes it a little bit better for the Vikings than most teams is we have to do it twice a year to Aaron Rodgers. Granted, it's a different type of speed, but it's still the type of defense where your ends can't rush too fast. They can't come in too hard. They have to stay back to make sure they don't bounce out. So I think it'll be a good game. And I am still a believer that the Cardinals overachieved last week, and that's not the norm. If I'm wrong, they'll shut me up real quick.
This is the big game for both teams. This is where we see if the Vikings get blown out, then you've got to say this could be a long season. Apart from the fact that their division looks kind of shit. Like apart from that, they could be kept alive in the division as long as the Packers look as bad as they were the other day, but you feel like they won't be able to do that.
Right.
If they get blown off the park, that is. If it's close, then the Viking season isn't over, obviously. If the Cardinals come in and play as well as they did against the Titans, then that's Cardinals all the way. That win.
I still think you need to go back and watch the game because I feel like people are giving them way too much credit for Tennessee screw-ups.
Yeah, Tennessee weren't great. Like,
and
Tennessee
I'm not trying to shit on
either.
the Cardinals either. They played great, but I don't think they were as good as they looked, nor was Tennessee as bad as they looked.
Yeah, I love the Cardinals game. This isn't a game, not just because of UJ. This is a game that I'll be keeping my eye on because it'll be interesting as well. The Cardinals
Peterson
are famously
returns home.
Yeah, they're famously terrible at defending the run as well, the Cardinals. Although Derrick Henry was who they were playing against the other day, but was behind the Tennessee offensive line. So we know. We'll see what they do. I've got the Cardinals winning because I'm a big Cardinals fan this year. Like I don't think that's a fluke. I think that's a kind of all like that's who they are now. But I think it's going to be incredibly close and can go either way.
All right. And as we keep going to tough games and talking about games that are rough for both teams, but I think the Ravens need this win more than the Chiefs. Chiefs-Ravens, I think the Ravens need this one more, and I think the Chiefs are going to win it. So I think the Ravens are going to be starting 0-2 out the gate. And as you said on the first time we ever recorded, Lamar's still on the duck.
Yeah, Lamar is like Patrick Mahomes is living rent-free in Lamar Jackson's head. I think is why I said on our
Well, no, I'm saying
video.
the first time we ever recorded, you said Lamar has to get off the duck. So I threw that out.
Came in with big. Yeah, he's still on a duck in the playoffs. This is a playoff game for them. Like, do they have it? Do they have it? They're able to say, oh, at least it's in Baltimore and not in Arrowhead, I guess. I see the Chiefs winning this one in an absolutely awesome game. Bombs thrown everywhere. Lamar Jackson's going to have a crazy run. Patrick Mahomes is going to probably throw from horizontal to the ground, sidearm, looking the other way. Like all sorts of crazy stuff's going to happen in this game. I'm very, very excited for it. I've got the Chiefs winning it as well. I just think the Chiefs have the wood over the Ravens recently. I just think that's an unfortunate story of the Baltimore Ravens at the minute. Like they just don't have what it takes to beat the Chiefs. But Jim Harbaugh is a tough guy. He will have bollocked his team after that loss to the Raiders. And he'll have it in their heads. Look, these guys have got the wood over us. We need to beat them. We need to go out and beat them. So I think it'll be closer than what people think, especially after the Ravens loss. But with the Ravens injuries and the fact that the Chiefs have beaten them a lot and are coming in feeling healthy and good, and their offensive line looked all right against the Browns, the Chiefs will win it, I think.
I agree, but I think the Ravens need it more, and sometimes that matters. So we'll see what the Ravens can do. If they can get that intestinal fortitude, get out there and pull off a game they need, then that'll be really impressive for their season. If they lose, their season is far from over. But starting 0-2 historically is not a good place to start to try to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I wonder when the last time the Ravens started 0-2. I feel like it's not. It was probably last season, now that I say that.
Well, I don't know when the last time they started is, but I think it's a good bet they're starting this year 0-2.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Well, speaking of a team that's going to end up 0-2, no matter what, it's a game with the Patriots Jets. One of those teams are going to end up 0-2. I think the Patriots are a better team in a win, but I'm praying the Jets pull this one out.
Yeah, I want Zach Wilson to absolutely throw for loads of yards against Bill Belichick's defense as well. But the story of two rookies coming in and two starting rookies. Sorry, Trevor Lawrence. I forgot about you. Two of the three starting rookies. I can't see any other way but the Patriots winning. They control the clock. They defend really well. They're going to get after Zach Wilson, even though the Jets offensive line looks okay.
A rookie coach going up against Belichick.
Belichick versus a rookie quarterback. You know, it's that kind of, it's Tom Brady going up against Micah Parsons. Like, you know, right. Like it's that kind of thing again. Patriots win for me.
I agree. And I don't think there's a ton that needs to be said. So going to the guy you just apologized to, Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence versus Teddy Two Gloves and the Denver Broncos. Throwing my money on Teddy Two Gloves. Pull that out. I think Teddy Bridgewater is a very solid quarterback, middle of the road in the NFL, who does not turn the ball over, doesn't make bad mistakes, will not lose you the game, and is talented enough to win you a game in the last 2 minutes. Just don't bank on it all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Teddy Bridgewater is one of those guys where he's like around top 20 in the NFL. Like he's top 20 in the NFL.
And he's can play times at a top 10, but won't always play at a top 10.
Yeah, it's like he's the guy that, you're looking for other quarterbacks, but you're not, it's not a desperate need. You're not throwing everything at getting a quarterback. It's not a desperate need. I've got the Broncos winning this game as well. The Jags looked awful last week.
Yeah, and I think that's all there's really needs to say about it, because we just talked a lot about the Jags on the last video.
The Broncos defense is incredible as well. Like the Broncos defense is really, really good. So,
and that's all I was going to say is the Jags better watch out for that defense, because they're coming and Von Miller's going to eat. Yeah,
sorry, Trevor Lawrence. Sorry, man.
All right, but here's a game that I'm really excited about, and I bet you are too.
Yeah.
Bills, Dolphins. I got the upset with the Bills going 0-2. I don't believe it's my pettiness, but sometimes we just don't know, right? I think that it's that Miami Heat, and I think Miami's just going to be the team this year that people are like, damn, they did what?
Yeah.
So, but don't get me wrong, if Buffalo came in and smoked them by 30, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I've got the Bills winning this game just because I think they're more talented.
I agree.
Than the Dolphins are, and the Dolphins are going to win a lot of games because Brian Flores is going to outcoach a lot of people, including Bill Belichick last week, in some ways. But Sean McDermott is also a fantastic coach. The Bills have the better quarterback. The Bills have the better offensive weapons. I guess the Dolphins have a better defense. They probably have a better offensive line. I got a very, very close game with Josh Allen proving the haters wrong from last week. I see the Steelers loss as kind of a freak accident. This is kind of, again, like when you actually watch that game, like the Bills controlled it as well. I think this is a game where we'll see what the Bills are going to have when it comes to the playoffs. I've got a Bills win. You've got Dolphins win, and I won't be surprised if it goes either way.
I got Miami winning, and I don't mean Miami Dolphins. I mean the humidity and heat in Miami, Florida.
It's something that you have to take into account every time we talk about the Dolphins. It's something that you have to say every single time, and people seem to forget about it.
Bills Mafia, just a warning. You go 0-3 and 0-4. Wait till you see what kind of diva you traded for.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you're not going to have a happy camper if Stephon Diggs ain't winning and getting the ball. I witnessed it firsthand. It happened at Maryland when he was there. It seems like a trend. Be careful what you wish for because you get 3-4 losses.
What kind of away support do American football teams get? Like real away support where people are like coming down. So like the Cowboys have away support because they're the Dallas Cowboys. So they have
the Packers travel well. The Vikings travel pretty well. There's Bills a handful of teams that travel super well, but I don't think Buffalo travels.
Yeah, but like imagine the Bills Mafia tearing it up in Miami, man. Come on, Bills. Like, go fully British away day on this. You know, those guys can make themselves the like Green Street, West Ham Ultras kind of team if they really wanted to. I think they should. I think it would do them really well.
I think it would just be awesome to see the Bills Mafia getting trunked in Miami with tank tops on instead of being bundled up like in snowsuits. All right.
Yeah, those table falls are a lot nicer in the heat than they are in the when it's freezing cold.
That's a good point. Yeah, let's think of that shit. Well, moving on from there, it's the 49ers Eagles. I think the 49ers walk the Eagles, but
49ers.
Yeah, I think they just walk them, right? The whole game. Yeah. I think they just because everybody's like, well, the Lions came back and this, and I was like, yeah, they sat everybody by that point.
Yeah, it was kind of like I was very, very happy with that. We didn't talk about it on our review of week 1, but it was one of my things that I was really, really happy about. It's that culture building in Detroit that we've been talking about since
the 49ers let them back in by sitting everybody too, though.
Yeah, I know, but it was that never give up kind of thing that we want to see from the Lions. But if the 49ers wanted to, and there was a lot of freak stuff that happened in there, like recovering onside kicks, blocks, you know, like if the 49ers wanted to, they could have run that up to 55, 60 points if they really, really wanted to. The Eagles played really well against Atlanta.
Jalen Hurts looked good.
Yeah, I think the 49ers is a totally different animal to Atlanta. Like the 49ers have a great pass rush. They have they really well coached. Their offense is going to keep your defense on the field all the time. Like, unless they're scoring touchdowns, obviously. So I think it's a bad matchup for the Eagles. The 49ers are going to beat them. Like, as far as I can see, I can't find any other way than that.
Yeah, and I think we both agree on that. So I'll just keep the train moving, and we'll move on to the LA Rams, who really need to change their logo because it looks like it's the Chargers logo with that Ram thing, versus the Colts. I got the Rams winning, but I'm going to tell you, my gut says the Colts pull this off, but I'm still picking the Rams.
You love the Colts. You love them this season.
I have this. I don't know what's with my gut this year is telling me once they're clicking, teams better watch out. There's something about they're underestimating that team because they think Carson Wentz is Phillip Rivers, and I don't see that the case. But my gut's telling me with Quentin Nelson back, that there's going to be something weird that happens and the Colts are going to squeak it out, but I am picking the Rams.
Do you know what I'm going to do if I'm the Rams? I'm going to put Aaron Donald running down Quentin Nelson's throat all day, every day. Let's test out that injury first up. That's, and then if he's blocking you, then move on, you know? They've got enough pressure to give it away a few times. I've got the Rams winning this one. I think it's going to be a close game, like a lot closer than a lot of pundits are going for. I don't want to react too much to week 1 where the Colts got blown off the field by the Seahawks. I don't want to react too much to that because I think their defense will be better. But again, I think it's one of those ones where the Rams are a difficult matchup for a lot of teams because if you don't have a crazy amount of wide receivers, then you're going to find it hard to throw the ball. Well, the Colts don't. The Colts have one wide receiver at the minute, like one decent one. So Jalen Ramsey takes Pittman out the game, and then we've got a Seahawks kind of thing on our hands with trying to move the ball. They've also got a very good run defense, which is, in my opinion, the Colts should just be attacking the run the entire time, while the Rams are really good on the run defense as well. The Colts have a good defense as well, so I'm not anticipating Matthew Stafford having as nice of a time as he did last week. But we'll see. We'll see.
Got this
I
weird
think the Rams are
feeling
going to win.
something weird is going to happen in that game. That's what
It's got to
is.
happen in one game. It's like I looked down my list and there's a lot of me picking favorites, or if it's a close game, I'm going one way. Like there's going to be one game that surprises us. That's the problem with doing this kind of punditry stuff, isn't it? Where you're going to look stupid on the one game. Like it'll be the Eagles with the 49ers after we've dismissed them so quickly right now. Yeah.
Well, speaking of teams that are shocking, both teams that neither of us expected to win week one, Raiders, Steelers. And I really went back and forth on this game, Maddie. This was a really hard one for me to pick.
I think this is my shock. I've got the Raiders. winning.
Me too.
Yeah,
me too.
I feel pretty harsh on my Raiders. I was just talking about not reacting too much to week one. But I feel like we've been a bit harsh in our preseason expectations of the Raiders. I do think they're going to fall off after Thanksgiving, but they do start really quick. And the Steelers didn't look good against the Bills. The Steelers got their defense looked good, don't get me wrong, but I'm not giving them too much credit for that win against the Bills. I think the Bills kind of shit down their leg rather than the Steelers kind of pulled that game out of the bag, like block punt, those happen like once, twice a season for a team, whereas the Raiders, they were with the Ravens the entire game. Like there was no point where the Ravens pulled away from the Raiders and it was a lucky comeback kind of thing, like crazy circumstances at the end, but crazy circumstances for both teams. Like the Raiders should have put it away before.
By being a close game. The crazy circumstances were created by the close game.
Yeah, rather than the Steelers-Bills game where it was just crazy, or the 49ers-Lions game where it was just kind of crazy as well. I'm just not a big believer in the Steelers this season. I believe their coaching will win them a lot of games, and I believe their experience will win them a lot of games. And this could be one of those games where the experience and the coaching wins it for them. But I think when the Raiders have a hot hand, you have to watch out for them until they get truly blown out, and then they'll fall off from there.
Mike Tomlinson, great guy. Met him one time. He sat and talked to us for like 15 minutes when he didn't have to. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Great guy, great coach. Ben Roethlisberger, first ballot Hall of Famer. But right now, I take Derek Carr over Ben Roethlisberger. But I definitely would take Mike Tomlin over Chucky Gruden.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be interesting to see. I think Derek Carr had an absolutely phenomenal game the other day.
And he's got weapons, man. He's got weapons.
Yeah. They're a good team. Like their defense their secondary is garbage, but the Steelers can't throw it that far. So it's not like the Steelers have fantastic weapons at wide receiver. Like when Juju Smith-Schuster's your number 2, you've got a good wide receiving core. But Ben Roethlisberger's arm didn't show me anything against the Bills to change my mind,
Derek Carr's offense is stacked at skilled positions. You got Ruggs, you got Jacobs, you got, Wooler. You can just keep going. And
yeah, I mean, the Steelers secondary is what they kind of pride themselves on, though. So it's they kind of cancel each other out in weird ways. Like both of these teams, like their weaknesses are at the same places. They're like, so we'll see what happens. It'll be a close game. But I've got the Raiders pipping them, and so do you.
Well, who do you got winning versus Bengals versus Bears?
Bengals.
Me too, actually. Yeah. I actually have the Bengals winning this game, and it has a lot. Now, it is to do with the Bengals also, but it has a lot to do with the Bears are not, and Matt Nagy are not a good fit for what Andy Dalton does.
Yeah, I agree with you. Andy Dalton Andy Dalton playing against Cincinnati as well. That's exciting to see. With the Bengals, I think Jamar Chase having a big day is massive for them. Like, I think that's absolutely huge for them this season. Like, his reported problem of drops was a real issue, but I think them having a big day. But the Bears don't look like they can move the football. That's the top and tail of it. And you've got to move the football to win games. Now, the Rams defense is better than the Bengals defense, so I'd expect them to be better than they were last week, but they just don't seem to be able to move the ball.
And you can never do what I'm about to do and think it's going to always work out. But Dalvin Cook is a better running back than Montgomery, and not to take anything from Montgomery because he's a good running back, but if you could slow down Dalvin Cook, you should be able to slow down Montgomery. You know what I'm saying? The Vikings have better receivers than the Bears. You did fine in the secondary. So if you line up just what they did last week, if they can score, they win. That's like, if you could score on the Bears, you win.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like the Bengals can. I think Jamar Chase was big for them. T. Higgins is their tight end. He's a massive deal for them. And Mixon, I think, is in everybody's fantasy league somewhere. You know, he's a very talented running back.
Yeah, I really like Joe Mixon coming out of college, except for the whole punching the girl in the face in the bar. But that was his freshman year. So, you know, we've talked about second chances. I think that he's shown that he's a mature dude now. I think everything he said, he did grow up.
Yeah, as long as he's apologized and all of that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know the circumstances behind everything as well.
She spit in his face in a bar and he drilled her. It was a bad circumstance. It was his freshman year. He had 3 years after that. He was a good teammate and good person. So it was just one of those things that should have never happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't agree with hitting women in the face, but I don't agree with hitting anybody in the face. Right. At least he wasn't unprovoked, I guess, if you're going to look to.
No, but my whole point was that I didn't
second
know
chances
coming out of college, and he did.
You can't just cancel somebody's career for one punch in a bar, you know? Like, you can't do that. He became
a leader. That was kind of where I was going. He went from this thing in college where he had this black stain to where he seemed to overcome and become a leader, which I'm very impressed with, which I feel the more leadership they can have, the less that Joe Burrow has to do is better for them.
And Joe Burrow is definitely a leader himself as well. Like, he's
right, but you don't want that one guy to carry the whole team always. So,
Yeah, definitely. I think the Bengals are in for a decent season this year. Like, they're in a tough division, so they're not going to have the best looking record, but they're going to have a really good shot. And I do think they're going to beat the Bengals. I do think that. Beat the Bears, beat the Bears.
Do you think the 1-0 Texans will beat the 0-1 Browns? Because I
think this might be the one game where there's not going to be an upset. I feel like the Browns are going to win this one.
I think I agree with you, and we could probably just leave that one at that.
Yeah, yeah. The Texans will be the Browns now, but that'll be a funner story for us to talk about anyway. So let's just leave it at that and jinx the entire game.
And this next game will be fun, but I think the Saints win by a decent amount. But I think it'll be fun to watch Saints Panthers because I think that Saints defense picks off your boy at least twice.
Yeah, I've got the Panthers winning this one.
Really?
Yeah. The Saints looked really, really good. The Saints looked really, really good, but I feel like the Panthers are a team that a lot of people are kind of sleeping on, and the Saints played the Packers first up, psyched out of their minds, ready to go because everybody's been writing them off all season. But I think Panthers divisional game in Carolina. Christian McCaffrey looked really, really good. Sam Darnold looked all right. You know, like they've got lots of weapons and their defense looks pretty solid. I think Carolina are a team that a lot of people are sleeping on. I didn't have the courage to kind of say it during the preseason reviews kind of things, but after watching that game one, I was pretty happy.
Well, I think that the Saints win by at least 10, so we'll see which one of us is right.
It's close if the Panthers win. I'm just putting that out there. It's very, very close if the Panthers win. I
don't like the Panthers team at all this year.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how much I trust. Jameis Winston needs to show me before, like it's the same as Sam Darnold. They both need to show me, you know, they're the two quarterbacks, them two, Carson Wentz. They're the three quarterbacks that need to show me before I can believe in them kind of thing. Jameis Winston has one good game and then throws 5 picks the next game, you know, like
you got LASIK.
Yeah, well, it does make a massive difference to be fair. All of this, right? So everybody who was making fun of, whoa, what just happened there? Everybody who was kind of making fun of Jameis Winston for this kind of thing. I used to play rugby, like I play rugby without contact lenses, right? And I have to play for 40 minutes before a game. I have to practice catching the ball to be ready to go to play rugby just because I can't put contact lenses in. But I play a game of touch rugby where it's like flag football. Play a game of touch rugby with my glasses on, and I'm a much better player. Like I'm quite good when I.
You need those Kareem Abdul-Jabbar sports glasses.
Yeah, the Hard Knocks guy was wearing them, wasn't he?
And not to get too off subject, but now that you said that, I actually just seen a sign up thing at our one of the businesses downtown. Our town has a flag rugby team for youth.
Get people involved. Everybody who's watching this in Green Bay, get involved in that. You'll absolutely love it. It's a great sport. It's especially good for youth. It's a sport that teaches even more discipline than like American football teaches discipline as well, but it teaches even more.
Packer fans, it's run by Amont Green, your favorite running back from back in the day. So get out there and support him.
Yeah. Anyway, back to American football.
All right. Well, back to another game where I think not much needs to be said. The Falcons versus the Buccaneers. If you're picking the Falcons, I'm just walking out the room right now anyway. So Buccaneers.
Yeah, it's Bucks on this one, isn't it? It's Bucks, but I'm gonna say Kyler Pitts might have a big game to make up for his lack of big game against the Eagles, but just with the problems in the Bucks secondary, that's the only caveat to that. But the Bucks still win this game. The Bucks beat the Falcons. I'm just saying.
One of the games I am most excited for, Titans Seahawks, because I don't think the Seahawks are as good as they looked, even though it's not a shot. And again, Russell Wilson, love the guy. They just were, like you said, TJ Lockett was so open at times. And I don't think Tennessee was as bad as they look. So let's see where these teams really are at. And I think it's a good matchup for both of them.
Yeah, I think the Titans are going to win this one.
I was going to say I got the Titans winning, but yes. Okay.
I think they're a difficult matchup for the Seahawks because the Seahawks have got a traditionally bad run defense over the past couple of seasons now. And obviously, Derrick Henry will be seeing the Cardinals game in the back of his head as he's running with the ball towards every Seahawks player he can find and just trying to run them over instead of trying to avoid everybody. The Titans have got a solid run game. The Seahawks don't have a solid run defense. If you're going to keep them off the field, then Russell Wilson can't do anything.
Right.
Just to add to that, Russell Wilson and Tyler Lockett didn't look like they needed a lot of time on the field to put points on the coach, to be perfectly honest. So, but we'll see how that kind of goes. It's not always about controlling the clock, although most of the time it is. I just see the Titans beating the Seahawks in this one.
Yeah, I think after the ass whooping they took too, they're embarrassed and they want to come out and prove something. And I think the Seahawks might be a little high from the win they just had. All that stuff could play in. I agree. Titans in a close game, though, is what I got it.
Titans in a rugged, ball-running kind of game where it's a lot of attrition. That's what the game's called. An attritional game between the Seahawks and the Titans. That's what I can kind of see it being.
All right, and to the Monday night showdown, NFC North battle, Green Bay Packers versus Dan Campbell's Motor City Lions. I got the Packers smashing them. Bad luck for the Lions. Yeah. They just caught the Packers off a bad loss. They got embarrassed, and they're going to come out and embarrass the Lions.
I think Aaron Rodgers might be upset about people saying that he's been throwing games on purpose. And he's going to show how upset he is by throwing everything he's got at the Lions. Now, I don't think it's going to be as big of a blowout as what people will be making it. Vegas will probably have them as to cover the spread, you've got to cover 9 points or something like that. You've got to be in by
usually
9 points or something.
Usually the Lions play the Packers tough. Usually, all the time.
Yeah, the Lions this year are playing everybody tough as well.
I think it's different this year, though. I think the Packers are going to come out and lay it on them because of what happened against the Saints.
I can definitely see that happening. The Lions have just got to run through Swift as much as they can, blow up some big blocks, just keep on running the ball, or those short bootleg passes and that kind of stuff. just spend as much of your time on the ball as you can. Keep Aaron Rodgers off the field. That's the only thing the Detroit Lions can do against the Packers, because the defense isn't going to get anywhere near him. So you've just got to keep him off the field the entire time. That's all they can do. The Detroit Lions, even though they are divisional rival, have become very quickly a sweetheart team for this podcast. But I think the Packers are going to blow them up.
I definitely agree. And I think the Lions are a lot like the Jags. When you watch a game, you're not necessarily looking for them to win. You're looking for something positive. What are we building? Yeah, what are we doing here? So Dan Campbell doesn't have to win a bunch of games to become a good team, because nobody expects them to win much this year anyway. It's what culture, what do we see from you?
Yeah, if you've seen improvement towards actually gaining an identity on offense and on defense and the whole organization worldwide, where these are the kind of guys we're going to pick. This is the kind of game we're going to play. This is how we're going to win games. If you can show us that you're doing that, then that's a good step for the Detroit Lions, and build until Aaron Rodgers retires. That's what a lot of the AFC North should be doing. NFC North should be doing. Like, obviously the Vikings have the resources to win this division, and they should be challenging the Bears. This is what
now they better build around Fields. Right? Like the Bears.
But what I'm talking about Fields is, don't see how many games you can win with Andy Dalton this year, and then they've got that easy run at the end. So play him there, and then you're building your culture that way, rather than thrown into the if they were going to start him, they should have started him last week, or does that little snippet of games towards the middle end of the season where he can kind of get his feet under him. But they've now wasted one of those games, one of those easier games that they had, and that kind of stuff as well. And then the Lions just build until Aaron Rodgers leaves, and then as soon as Aaron Rodgers leaves, then burst on the scene and try and be the winners of that division, you know?
Yeah, and the way it looks, this is the last year that the NFC North's going to have to play Aaron Rodgers twice, because if the Packers want to get anything, we've talked about this, they have to trade him after this season.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think the Lions are in a good spot. I think they have a good system around them. I really think they need to give Kelvin Johnson that $1.5 million back and get him back into the fold. You got a new owner with the daughter or whatever of the Fords now running it. Let's start this regime over. Looks like Dan Campbell might be the right guy. You're doing the right things. Bring Megatron back into the fold. Give him his money back, and just keep building. Because, like I said, they've been building for 40 years. But this is the most positive I felt about the Lions in my lifetime, minus the Barry Sanders years when I was really, really young.
Yeah, obviously you feel positive about them because they're coming from such a low starting point. Like when they had Matthew Stafford and Megatron, that was probably their time to do this kind of thing. Like they should have been doing this when they had those two. But, doesn't matter. As a whole,
Matt Millen
as an
only
organization,
drafted receivers, so they didn't know what to do because they had 8 first-round receivers. But
yeah, if they built a defense around those two, then they would have been fine. But doesn't matter. Matthew Stafford's going to show them that that's what they should have done this year. Is how I feel about that entire thing. Very exciting run of games that we're in for.
Yes, sir.
Be exciting.
Yeah, I can't wait. It kicks off tonight. All right, everybody, get ready for a week 2. That should be exciting. I know, like Maddie, I'm so excited that football's back. We went way too long without it, and now we don't miss a week until February 22nd or something. So, all right, everybody, enjoy the week 2 of football. One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.